Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. We're recording today from the Advisors Mortgage Group studios right here in downtown Carmel. And I'm Rick Rittman, the hardworking mortgage guy. I've been in mortgages and real estate for over 34 years. I've helped over 5,200 folks finance their homes. My team and I believe in custom tailored loans, not the one-size-fits-all approach. We believe there is a right mortgage for you, and we believe we are the team to deliver it.
And I'm Ian Arnold, part of Rick's hardworking mortgage team. I've been in the financial industry for 15 years, helping customers rebuild their credit to get the best possible financing rates. I also have a passion in helping you secure your real estate dreams and hopefully secure your wealth for generations.
And for the most up-to-date information on the Indy real estate market or mortgages, please go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can call 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938. And today we've got Scott White with At Properties, and you have a team.
I do.
Which you call your team is Rise Indy Team.
Correct.
And thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Rick and Ian. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's great to have you. You know, everybody knows we only have gurus on, so you're a guru real estate agent doing great volume. You know, and you know, I guess really maybe even more than volume, although it's important for our show, it's the quality of the person we like. You know, and you're a high quality person, and you know, I think that's more important than anything else. So we appreciate it. We appreciate you, and we really do appreciate you joining us. If somebody did want to get a hold of you, how would they do that? What's the best way?
Yeah, best way is on my cell phone, which is 317-345-0573, or you can shoot me an email at botwithscott@gmail.com.
I like that. Bought with Scott is easy. And also, I like your name because I did not mess it up, and I messed most of them up. So that was really helpful.
Pretty simple for you. Yeah.
It was. You know, it really does help. So before real estate, can you kind of tell us, you know, what your life was like, what you did?
Yeah. So I grew up just north of the road here in Westfield. So born and raised there and went to Westfield High School. Sports was everything to me growing up. So I actually had a passion for broadcasting. So sitting behind the mic here is comfortable for me right now. But I wanted to get into sports broadcasting, and I literally, growing up, would play video games, and I would like broadcast over the video game myself. So that's kind of how I got into doing that. Huge Pacer fan, so I'd always listen to Slick Leonard and Mark Boyle. I would literally watch it on TV, turn off the TV volume and listen to the radio as I'm watching the Pacers. So yeah, went to DePaul University in Greencastle to study broadcasting, and had a great experience there, learned a lot, and ended up doing a couple internships while I was at DePaul, one with ESPN Radio, the Fan downtown.
Yeah.
At the time, it was Eddie White and Bob Kravitz. They had a show, and Dan Dockich as well. So interned for both of them. Great experience, learned a lot of fun. And then the following year, I interned at WTHR with Dave Calabro and some of those guys. Great experience. Glad I did it, because it did kind of teach me that, like, hey, I like this. I think I like it more as a hobby than a profession. Okay, so after that, when I graduated, I was like, man, what am I going to do now? And my dad is a real estate developer. He's had his real estate license, kind of briefly has dabbled in the residential side, but 99% of his business is development. And he's like, hey, Scott, you know, I would encourage you to get your real estate license, even if you don't do it as a career. Could be a great side gig. You're doing homes for your fraternity brothers or what have been. And so I did. So right out of college, I got licensed, and then ironically, my first job was as a loan officer. So it was in your guys' shoes for a couple of years at First Internet Bank over in Fishers, and again, a great learning experience, just being able to lend in all 50 states and learning all of those different regulations and whatnot was a challenge, but had a great learning experience there. And then after that, I jumped into ministry and worked at Traders Point Christian Church. Ran their sports ministry there. And so when I made that transition from being a loan officer to ministry, that's when I really activated my real estate license and got going with that. So eventually my business grew to a point where I couldn't do both and had to make a decision and chose full-time real estate. And that was about already almost 6 years ago. So been doing it ever since and been loving it.
Yeah, you've done really well.
So why did you go to the dark side? You were with us, and then you went to the dark side, become a realtor. You could have came back.
I think he thinks that was the light side.
It's funny. I've got a friend that I partner with a lot, and at the time we were opposite. He was a real estate agent, and I was a loan officer, and now we're both, I think, in our calling. So I like to consider myself on the light side now.
I think both sides are if you're great people and you do the right things, both sides work well.
Absolutely.
And both sides have to work together.
Absolutely. It's a team effort.
It is a team effort. And it's not just the loan officer and the real estate agent. It's the whole, everything.
Absolutely.
Both agents, everybody's on that team. So you got into real estate. How did you get going? Because I know that's a tough start for a lot of people. So what did you do? What kind of processes did you have to get your business off the ground to get to where you are today?
Sure. I think I was blessed to have a full-time job while I was starting real estate. And I know, you're going to have some differing opinions in the industry about what that looks like. For me, it was a great fallback. Hey, I know I've got a salaried position, because getting started in real estate, you're not going to see that paycheck from day one. Sometimes, you could see it in month one, but sometimes it could be 8 to 12 months down the road. Along with, there are some fees to get going in the business, right? So I think that helped to kind of have the confidence knowing, hey, I don't have to completely throw all my eggs in one basket. I can kind of take my time learning the ropes. And what I really kind of contribute my early success in was just kind of learning the business the right way, building relationships, working your sphere of influence. And that was through a program called Peak Producers, which is ran by Brian Buffini. He's a well-known real estate trainer. He's out in San Diego, California, but former real estate agent who just really kind of built his business through that model. And I'm really glad that I got that foundation instead of, hey, spinning your wheels, chasing Zillow leads or whatever it may be. It was like, hey, just really concentrate on taking care of your people, having genuine conversations, build relationships with people that you care about, and letting them know, hey, I'm a real estate agent that can help you out, and here's how, and really just being an advisor and an educator. I think that's really kind of set a good foundation for my business.
Yeah, and I would guess that having the foundation of working at the church and getting to know all those people and growing up here, you had a good sphere of influence to start with, I would guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you're hitting it spot on. I think having grown up in Westfield, kind of been in a tight radius, pretty much my whole life, even, an hour away at DePaul, just still having a tight nucleus of a sphere. And then, the church really enabled me, because of the role I was in. I was leading our sports ministry and, ran a youth sports program that had, over 300 kids in, and I'm, leading volunteers with coaches and just building a lot of different relationships through that realm while running alongside my real estate business. That was very helpful to kind of springboard my business. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask. So when you started your business and everything, and then you started the company Rise Indy, what came up with the name? How'd you come up with Rise Indy?
Yeah, so great question. So the company before, was called Mint to Sell Realty. So my business partner, John Bell, and actually it was his dad, started the company back in 2010. He was with Keller Williams and was kind of doing real estate on the side almost. He was a full-time employee at AT&T, but at that point he had a relationship with a lender that was feeding him a lot of REO business. So he was like, man, I'm bringing in a lot of this business myself. I'm not really getting a lot from this brokerage. Why don't I just start my own thing and I'm going to make great money, right? And kind of have no red tape to kind of go through. So he started that company basically as kind of a family business, then with his son-in-law and then eventually with his son, John, when he graduated. So I knew John through the church and got connected to him that way. But then when his dad got out of the business in 2019 is when we kind of rebranded to Rise. We brought some other partners in and really we're were concentrating on growing the company at that point. And so we felt like it was time to kind of make it our own. Meant to Sell was kind of John's dad's thing, and we wanted to really kind of make our own type of company. But Rise, at that, it definitely has some Christian undertones to it, but also, we had an acronym to that of, being in great relationship with people, doing business with integrity, providing great service, and then having great experience across the board with our agents. So kind of a play on words a little bit, an acronym there, but also, we wanted it to be kind of clean and simple. And so that's kind of how we came up with Rise.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's an interesting, and it's just, it's a great name, especially once you explain what Rise means. But even without that, it still makes a lot of sense to me. You read it and you go, okay, this makes sense. So how much would you say it matters to have a mentor when you're in the business or getting in the business? Is that important?
Absolutely. That was another big thing to catapult me in my business, and it was with John. John is a great businessman, great leader, and really does a great job one-on-one taking somebody under his wing and sharing the experience. And again, like no one's business is the same across the board. Everybody kind of does things differently. But he did a great job of being able to kind of be a soundboard for me, not only from a real estate perspective, but from a business owner perspective. And, that's another thing I think that is key, in this business, is to kind of have that business owner mentality. You do own your own business. Right. You're not, yes, you may be part of a big brokerage or whatnot and feel almost like an employee, but at the end of the day, you are a business owner of XYZ real estate, right? So I think kind of having that mentality from the get-go, him kind of instilling that into me, I don't know if I'd be where I'm at today without kind of having that entrepreneurial mindset and ownership of my own real estate business.
Yeah. You're not W-2 employee.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's a common misconception of those getting into the business, especially coming from a previous job that might be W-2'd, or, you've got a boss or 3 or 4 bosses in line, right? It's a very different business to step into and kind of get into that right mindset.
Yeah. How would somebody know how should they make that decision if they're thinking, no, maybe I want to be a real estate agent? I think there's so many misconceptions. What should they look at? What should they think about?
Agreed. I think there are a lot of misconceptions with real estate, especially here within the past couple of years, right? Like, admittedly, the market over the past couple of years has been very strong for agents. And, I think that there's been some ability to get into the business without really knowing what it takes in a quote unquote normal market to make it as an agent. And I think the key is kind of that mentality of like, hey, I am a business owner, and that doesn't look like I am in the office from 9 to 5 and then I check out and clock out for the day. It is not, hey, I'm relying on other people to kind of tell me what to do. You have to be a go-getter. You have to be one that is able to communicate well with people. You have to be one that is hungry for the business, eager to learn, because we are in an ever adapting market. That's, I think, what I love personally about real estate is no transaction is the same. Every year there seems to be 2, 3, 4 new challenges to kind of adapt to and educate your clients about. And if you're not willing to kind of put in that extra work, be a learner. That's just one thing that I kind of put on my daily task is like, hey, what's going on in the market? Always being aware of properties that are out there in specific areas that I serve, researching what are local statistics looking like, what are national statistics looking like, and just wanting to be kind of owning that knowledge of the market so that you can educate your clients the best. So I think those are some of the key things to keep in mind when thinking about getting into the business. And if you're kind of one of those that's not wanting to start your own business, I think that stick with the W-2 job. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yes. And Scott, if somebody's wanting to buy or sell with you, how would they get hold of you?
Cell phone is the best way, 317-345-0573, or they can email me at botwithscott@gmail.com.
All right.
You can get all our Ian's and mine information at hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. You can find everything to contact us, or you can call 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938. And thank you for listening to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. The gurus we interview share valuable insights. They reveal their strengths, personalities, and how they'll work for you. While the hardworking mortgage guys secure your best mortgage, real estate gurus work hard too. They avoid problems the amateurs don't see. They listen, and they find unrealized opportunities. If you're buying or selling a home, a real estate agent is a valuable asset, especially a guru real estate agent. If you're even thinking of buying or selling a home, keep listening and definitely call one of Indy's real estate gurus.
All right, so let's take a little sidestep. Let's say I take away your phone. You cannot work for 24 hours. What would we catch you out there doing?
Yelling four at some golfers. Yeah, a huge golfer. That's kind of my escape to kind of refuel is to get on the golf course and kind of disconnect for a little bit. So that would be number one spot, and two, spending it with my family. I've got 3 kiddos, young kiddos, and a wife, so they're the world to me. So just being able to either take my kids out on the golf course themselves, or go to a park, or just take a walk with my wife. Yeah, that would be my ideal disconnect for sure.
So where do you like to play at?
So I'm a member at Ulen. Just joined. That's up in Lebanon. So just joined there in the fall. But also kind of all over. I live in Whitestown, so we got Golf Club of Indiana there. The Trophy Club's a great course. I think it's kind of a hidden gem in Indianapolis. And then my parents are still in Westfield at Bridgewater, so I get spoiled to go out there every now and again. So
he's got lots of choices.
Yeah, it is.
I do.
No. That's a lot of spots for clients to go, hey, let's go golfing together.
Yeah. Maybe we need to retract that statement.
I have never been a golf. Well, I used to when I was young. I golfed a little bit, but I don't know how anybody enjoys it because it's just frustrating to me.
Yeah, I had to kind of turn off the switch. I'm a very competitive person, so my dad put a club in my hand since I was 5 years old.
Oh,
so
okay.
that has been my key to play the game well. But yeah, I think right out of college is when I kind of learned, Scott, you just got to turn off that competitive switch and just enjoy it. And that's when I started really enjoying golf. So
because if you're not gonna play all the time and practice and all that, you shouldn't expect to be a great golfer.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
I think it's one of those sports that you just have to continually be practicing and have a club in your hand at all times. Like, I feel like there's other sports you can kind of pick up here and there and being a decent amateur at, but golf's one of those that, like, if you're not in it every day, it could turn into trouble.
Is this the reason why we see a lot of reviews of you sitting in the back while the people are walking through the house and you're swinging a golf club?
Exactly, exactly. You're spot on.
Yeah.
All right, there were no reviews like that, people. Just joking.
No, but the video is yelling for it inside the house.
That's right.
Yeah, that's so. What would you say your superpowers are?
Oh, great question. I think just the ability to have fun with people. I think real estate can be a stressful experience, and sometimes that is kind of the lead for people. Obviously it's a big investment. It's one of the biggest investments you're going to make in your life. Moving is a stressful experience. And even in this market, finding the right house, that can be a stressful experience. So I think for me, superpower is just being able to kind of set expectations with people. And in those expectations, I say, hey, my goal is to make this as stress-free as an experience as possible, but also just to have fun with it. Like looking at houses, buying real estate, that should be a fun experience.
Right.
And I think sometimes everybody that's involved in the transaction can sometimes overcomplicate it and forget that this should be a fun experience. And so I think I try to take that approach with my clients to, kid around with their kids, input a little sarcasm into things. One of my go-to things is when we get an accepted offer is I tell the client, hey, we got some good news, we got some bad news. Which one do you want first? Oh, of course, they always want the bad news. The bad news is you got to write a big check. Good news is you got the house, right? So the checks for earnest money. So I always just kind of just keep it light, keep it fun, to really kind of make people feel at ease through the process.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most stressful processes, not necessarily process, but it's a very stressful time when you're buying a house.
Mm-hmm.
And getting a mortgage is stressful because even great credit, perfect people, they worry about it,
Mm-hmm.
because you never know,
Right.
You don't know
Right.
what's going to pop up. So there's always that stress, and having somebody with a calm personality, somebody who can walk you through it, is, I think, vital to make sure that it is a smooth and easy transition, and your stress levels lower because of that.
Correct.
And that makes
Correct.
a huge difference.
It does. Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. So what's something you're most proud of within your business?
I think just kind of where we have come from, coming from a small company that we kind of developed and built, somewhat from the ground up, and then where we are today. You kind of the last half of that story of where Rise came from, and the end of 2021, we ended up merging companies and franchising underneath At Properties. So that is our brokerage, and I'm one of the partners of. And so just kind of seeing where we have come from to where we are currently without losing that like family culture that we established. So now with At Properties, we're up to about 175 agents. And, always the concern that you get when you become a bigger company like that is, what is the culture like? When you start at 5 people and now you're at 175, obviously that 5 is very tight knit, right?
Yes.
And you have each other's backs. And I think that's the one really cool part that we have really instilled, and why we partnered with who we did is because those values are aligned there. So the culture of where we're at is super healthy. It's very collaborative and not competitive, which I think in this industry, a lot, you can be super competitive. I think there's some healthy things to that, but also not competitive with each other in an unhealthy way.
Right.
Very collaborative about our business, not saying, hey, because I'm a high volume producer, you as a brand new agent can't come to me and ask questions. I was new at some point asking an agent that did a lot of volume those same questions. Right. I want to be able to give that back. So one thing I do right now for our brokerage is lead a training program where I help train agents that are not brand new, but maybe a year or two in the business and are kind of looking to catapult their business to the next level. And that's kind of where we feel like our strength is. And one thing I really love doing is kind of sharing my experience and how I learned, and hopefully impacting others with it.
Yeah. Have you found that, because you said culture was so important, have you found that more difficult since people don't come into the office as often, or do people come into the office?
It is. Yeah. You're exactly right. It is more difficult to try and establish that. I think, obviously technology has taken over the real estate industry quite a bit. As an agent, when we go to recruit, it's one of the hot topics that you talk about, but also from, what happened through the pandemic and just the nature of office culture in general across the board, and just the general tendency of where kind of real estate being in the office was trending towards. Yeah, it is difficult, but I think as long as you are kind of instilling that through your DNA, through modes of communication, through, having virtual meetings and whatnot, still maintaining that same kind of bondness, even if it is virtual, it is important. So yeah, to answer your question, I think, yes, it's a little bit more difficult to do. And we've been trying to encourage more and more people to get back in the office. I think the nice thing about us is we have 5 different offices, actually now 6. We added West Lafayette here last month as an office to our brokerage. So, we have plenty of options for people kind of around the city to come to, but, it is more and more of a virtual world that we're in. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So since you train people and everything, and the nice thing is you said usually a year or 2 in is all right. So what do you need to do to change your business? So if somebody is struggling and they've been in the business for a couple of years, what would a good advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think it's to truly just concentrate on your sphere of people. And one common pushback I get on that is, well, my sphere's not very big. Could be someone that just moved here, isn't very familiar with the area, It could be someone that, again, just started getting into the business. Could be a stay-at-home mom that stayed at home for 10, 15 years. And now is, the kids are full-time school. I want to get into real estate. What does that look like? Where is my sphere? So just really kind of sitting down with them and digesting that and kind of walking through, what does your sphere look like? What do you like to see your day-to-day to look like? And then to combat that, pushback is like, how can you expand that sphere? Okay, yeah, your sphere may be small, but what opportunities are out there for you to be involved in, to rub shoulders with people so that they get to know you, develop a relationship with you, and then eventually know, okay, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a real estate agent, and I love helping people. And, that just develops a natural, organic relationship, instead of, I think, a lot of people, their default is to go to, well, I just need leads. I need someone to hand me leads, which again, there's many different ways to run a business. And there's been many successful real estate agents that have built their business on leads. I have found success in not spinning your wheels with leads, being able just to concentrate on your people that you care about. And naturally too, they have your back. Normally people that you're working with on a normal basis that you have a great relationship with already are going to treat you well, make that experience even more enjoyable for you, rather than someone that you're meeting for the first time, don't have an emotional connection with, and kind of spinning your wheels to try to get something done.
Now, do you find that most or many people who say they don't have a very big sphere they're actually limiting they have a much bigger sphere than they actually think they have?
Absolutely. I think getting them to think through and be confident. I think that's one thing that I'm seeing a lot of right now, is just a lack of confidence, because again, the 2020, 2021 and the first quarter of 22, those are anomaly years for real estate. Again, I think we got spoiled as agents to be able to, you could walk into a house, take iPhone photos, stick your sign in the yard, and throw a price up, and you're going to sell it. And anybody can do that, right? And now coming into a market where you actually have to do your job. You got to be strategic. You got to know what you're doing. I think a lot of people who got into the industry thought, oh my gosh, this is easy, and now we're truly showing who are the ones that are really truly putting forth the effort to market the property well, truly care about the buyer seller in front of you. So that confidence has kind of waned back a little bit. So just, again, not that those agents can't do their job. It's like, okay, we got to almost start from a new foundation now.
Right.
Gonna start over from scratch. And that's painful. It's a painful thing to do, but it's necessary in order to have a sustainable business for the long term.
Yep. Somebody's wanting to work with you and looking to buy or sell their home, how would they get hold of you?
Yeah, cell phone's the best way. That's 317-345-0573. Or you can email me at botwithscott@gmail.com.
And to get a hold of Ian or I, it's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can call 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938.
All right, so let's get into the question of the week. And the question of the week is sponsored by, hey, Rick and I, the Hardworking Mortgage Guys, where we believe in helping and supporting you and your realtor by sending constant updates in the loan process. Nobody likes to live in a black hole, so we do not allow it here. If you do like the black hole, I'm sorry, we are not the people for you. But all right, so here's the question. What was your first car?
Oh, first car was a 2002 Nissan Altima. It was like right when they had transitioned into having that like CVT transmission. I thought that was the coolest thing. It was like one of the first cars I saw that had the push button start, the whole shebang. I was spoiled. That was a great car. Unfortunately, let's see, it would have been 2 years after I got it, I totaled it. So yeah, the typical the high school story there for you.
Did you have those what I call the fake paddle shifters?
Not on that one. My next car I did though. Yes.
It's interesting. People like to play with those.
Yeah, I have them on my Accord currently. And yeah, it's, it's fun. Like 10 years ago, that's all I did. I was paddle shifting the whole entire time. And now I'm like, I don't even know if I've used them once.
I don't use mine. I hate them. And when I hit it by mistake, That's why I don't like them. I'll hit it by mistake. It's like I can't get it out of this. I don't
Right.
ever use them. So it's like, how do I get it out of this stupid gear and
Yep.
get back into automatic?
Yep, exactly.
But man, if I was back in my younger days, I'd have loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not for me.
The funny thing is I've always said, Rick and I both came from the car industry, and we get people go, oh yeah, I can drive a manual. You just hit the paddle shit. I'm like, that's not a manual, sir.
Yeah. Stick them in the manual and say, okay, drive this one.
Yeah. I admittedly would be in trouble if I had a manual in front of me.
They say it's a great way to keep people from stealing your car.
Well, yeah, maybe I need to learn then.
Oh, your car being stolen a lot?
No, thankfully.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but I have read that where people get in a car, they like try to, what do they call it? Carjack it.
Yeah.
Normally not in Indianapolis, our area, and they can't drive it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be embarrassing?
You just get out.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, go ahead and steal it.
Yeah, go
oh,
for
you're
it.
done? All right, I'm going to leave now.
Yeah.
That would not be good.
So what would you consider one of your most memorable deals?
I'm going to stick with the good memorable deals. The best one, I think, was able to help a family buy their first house. They had, four kids at the time, and she was pregnant with their fifth, and they were living in like a 900 square foot apartment. I'm like, oh my goodness. And they had worked really, really hard. Just like you had mentioned earlier, credit repair, that was something that they were working really hard on. We worked with them for about 6 to 8 months to get them into a spot where they could buy. And this was at the kind of the onset of when we were starting to see multiple offers on properties, especially kind of in that first time home buyer price range. So finding them a house was difficult. But when we found it, it was like that just ultimate feeling of like, oh, this is the right fit. Plenty of space for the kids, basically doubled their square footage. And I just remember closing day, just like as they're signing the papers, just seeing their emotion, seeing the tears come of just obviously happy tears that, hey, we worked really hard for this. It was one that was very difficult and hard to get to the closing table, but worth every single bit of effort to kind of see that emotion and see the family being able to realize a homeownership dream. And that for me was kind of like a click, like, this is why I'm in it. This is why I'm doing it. So
it's fantastic feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you help somebody like that, that's wonderful. So you have a large team. Are you still looking for people, or are you still looking to grow?
We are, from a brokerage perspective, always looking to grow. From a team perspective, we're a little bit more strategic with who's in our tight knit group. We are always looking if it's the right fit. I think again, our number one thing is protecting that culture of what we've established, and that is the number one priority. And then attracting someone that is willing to learn and willing to be coached. Again, like I said, there's many different ways to do the real estate business, and we strongly believe in what we're doing and how we're conducting our business and teaching our agents currently. So yeah, always looking for people and those that are wanting to be part of a healthy culture and really want to work their sphere of people, and also want to have a healthy work-life balance. I think that's one thing that really gets missed in the real estate industry across the board, is that yes, we work odd hours sometimes, and yet you have to kind of put in that effort nights and weekends, but you also got to take time for yourself. Your clients aren't going to get the best version of you or your very best if you're not taking care of yourself. I've had to learn that the hard way. A few years ago, definitely got caught up in, oh my gosh, I am just spinning my wheels here and business is great, but I was probably mentally and physically the most unhealthy I've been in my life, so my clients weren't getting 100% of me. So I think just kind of teaching that, coaching that the right way, that like, hey, you got to take care of yourself, take care of your family. That's your first priority, and enable you to be the best real estate agent you can be.
How'd you fix that? So what was your process, and how do you teach people to, because this is one of the biggest things we hear from a lot of agents that are doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult, and their time is not their time,
mm-hmm.
even though most people coming into the business think that's one of the beauties of real estate.
Yeah.
How did you fix it, or how do you teach people to do that?
Yeah. So how I fixed it was probably an untraditional way. I just really had to scale back. I had to say no to some people. I had to pass off some business. to get into that healthy spot to where I could say, okay, I'm ready to gear up and ready to go again. But with that is just setting boundaries. I think one thing that we really miss in the industry as agents is communicating clearly and well with our clients. But more importantly, on top of that is really setting expectations well. So that initial buyer consultation meeting or that listing appointment that you're on, not only are you presenting what you're going to do to market the property or what you're going to do to get them in the house, but also like what this process looks like and what it looks like for me. Hey, I've got a family. I've got 3 kids, just like you may as a family, and they're my first priority. So, there are going to be certain nights that are off limits, and just setting that kind of boundary up front, but also, obviously you're not going to have this when you're brand new into the business, but having a team to fall back on to say, hey, I might not be able to show it to you this evening, but I've got Amanda back in our office that's part of my team that, breathes the same type of DNA that I do. She's going to be able to show you that property tonight. And so having that kind of fallback plan. So I think just setting expectations, setting boundaries, and being okay with that. Like, if someone, I think it's difficult, especially being newer, especially not having a ton of business, is to be okay with someone walking away if it's not the right fit. You're going to get more mentally and physically drained by someone that's not respecting those boundaries. That if, you just set them clearly and someone respects it, you're going to have a great experience with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is I know your days always change. But what does a typical day look like for you as a real estate agent?
Oh, man.
There's no
I was going to say, yeah, but a typical day does not exist. That's one thing that I've worked on. I did what's called a ninja selling. It's a training program, an agent developed out of, I believe Oregon or Washington, somewhere on the West Coast. But basically it's very similar. Like, hey, again, working your sphere of people, but also there's a huge like mindset aspect to that. And like, you are setting your day, not letting the market set your day. So really try to plan out your week. So Sunday evenings, I try to sit down and really plan out my week. Okay, I've got these meetings here that are already booked. I've got that blocked off. Hey, I need to block off time to call my current clients and update them on what things have been looking like over the past week. I've got time blocked off to call potential clients and prospect. I've got time for myself to either go play that round of golf or go work out or read or whatever it may be to kind of refuel, but really trying to plan that out. So I've been trying to do that a little bit more and more here over the past couple of months. So a typical day, wearing a few different hats with being a partner in the brokerage, running a team, training. So there are a few different hats that I have to wear. So, being able to try to block those times off for those specific things while also concentrating on my personal business. It's been a difficult task to try and keep it all straight and keep it in a window where I can still balance the work at home. And but yeah, typical day, get up, try to work out, keyword try.
I picked that up.
Yeah. Get into the office early and kind of get started off on the right foot. I usually, a tendency is to try to jump straight into the emails, but I usually try to keep that for, late morning, early afternoon and really concentrate on, okay, what does today look like? Call my clients, update them. And then, kind of dividing up the day of one thing that I've really believe in is, working in your business to working on your business. That looks completely separate of, hey, what does my current business right now look like? What are inspection responses I need to get out? What do I need to get in touch with the lender on this, working in it, and then working on is, prospecting and developing those relationships. So usually during the week, I try to schedule at least 1 or 2 coffees or lunch with either a previous client or a prospect client to, again, try to build that relationship deeper and have more of a connection.
Rick and I will tell you from the foremost, time blocking is a must.
Huge.
Because you don't realize what you're missing out on. Because like we do phone calls and we do this, and it was like, no, during these couple hours, we cannot be disturbed. We cannot
Absolutely.
be. Now, if you leave a voicemail, we will get back to you. Do not.
Right.
But
Right.
those time blocks, I mean, you can get so much done when you time block, because if not, anything and everything jumps in there.
Correct. Well, and everything that does jump in there seems like it's an urgent thing to get to, right? When you have that email pop in, and that's another thing during that time block is still, hey, I've got my email closed. I've got my phone on do not disturb or just out of reach, to say, hey, the task that I have time blocked for, that has got 100% of my attention, because I've got, I think everybody in this industry has a little bit of ADD. You have that email come in, you hear that ding, it's like squirrel. Okay, got to get to that, right? And but not everything is urgent, has to be taken care of in this moment. And you're exactly right. Time blocking, I have learned, is huge to being able to have a productive day.
Yeah. And it helps me a lot. But I will tell you, I am one of those people who I really can't not do. I have to get to my, every half hour I have to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And my coach, he was saying, you got to go, this is 2 hours. You got to block that time off. You can't do it. And I said, listen, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, you'll be able to later. I still can't do it. I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
But I still get the other stuff done. But and it's not that I handle the emails, but I got to look and make sure that if there's an emergency, I take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a personal problem, mine. Okay. I just can't, I have this super high sense of urgency.
Sure.
And I have no way to get around it. So I think time blocking is the best thing I've done. One of the best things I've done for business. But I also, sometimes you got to do things that work within your personality.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I can't do the 2 hours. I just cannot sit there for 2 hours and make calls. I'll sit there. I'd rather sit there for 2 hours and 2.5 hours or 3 hours, yet every 15, 30 minutes, I'm looking at my email just to make sure there isn't anything there I got to handle.
Sure.
But I agree. It's the most valuable thing you can do. And then I think for your team and all that, it really helps them if they have somebody who teaches that.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really get that modeled until over the past 12 months, really. Yeah. That now that I've adopted it, I've definitely seen some fruit from that. Where, gosh, I'd spend a day and be like, where did the day just go? And I feel like I didn't get anything done. But now that I'm kind of time blocking and creating that, I feel so much more productive while also having the energy to come home and have capacity.
Yeah. And you got more done during the day because of it.
Absolutely.
And I don't know about you, but before I did it, there'd be things I meant to do, but when I had a few extra minutes, I couldn't remember what they were.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't in my schedule.
Right.
And now for sure, if it's not my schedule, it doesn't get done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I told my assistant, if you don't schedule it, if you just give me a note saying this is what I got to do, it's never going to get done. You have to put it in my schedule.
Sure. Yep. I understand that. I hear you.
Yeah. It's I think that's vitally important. So obviously there's always roadblocks and things in our business, issues we have to overcome. What's your process for overcoming, problems or issues, roadblocks that you come into?
Sure. I think tackling them head on, when a problem does come up, an issue with a transaction, just coming at it straight on and having the honest conversation and saying, hey, here's what's going on. Here's how we're going to overcome this. Again, and I think the key to that and being successful when things do happen is setting expectations up front really, really well, so that the client is aware, like, hey, one of my just pet peeves about the industry is like, we just have so many hands in the pot during the transaction. You've got your real estate agent, you've got listing side and buying side, you've got a title company, you've got inspectors, you've got appraisers, you've got loan officers. You got loan officers who have a team behind them. There's just so many hands in the pie. And if one thing falls, that puzzle piece has to be put back together somehow. Right. And who are the customer service people handling that? That's me, and that's you as the loan officer, really.
Right.
We're the customer facing people that, let's say someone else on the title side of things drops the ball. Well, that comes back on us, right? And we have to communicate clearly that, hey, here's what's happened, and here's how we're going to correct it, and here's kind of the timetable on when to expect that. So I think in the industry, I think we have noteworthy for not communicating well. It just amazes me still. I'll get offers on a listing of mine from an agent that hasn't picked up the phone and called me to say, hey, did you get that okay? I had one specifically, a buyer a couple years ago. I sent an offer in, and somehow it ended up in the listing agent's spam. And the deadline was within a couple hours. I immediately called him and was like, hey, just wanted to make sure you got our offer okay. He's like, I don't see it anywhere. I'm like, well, check your spam folder just in case. And it was sitting in there. Had I not picked up the phone to call that person, my client would not have that house.
Right.
Plain and simple. So I think just communication is key in this business to overcome those issues, tackle them head on, and just be honest and transparent with what's going on. Your clients appreciate just, even if it's something that you drop the ball on, own it. We're human. We make mistakes, and we're going to work hard to correct it and make sure it doesn't happen again.
It's really how you fix it.
Yeah.
It's really is. Well, we don't have a lot of time, but I want to ask this one last question. This came from an agent we had on, and I thought it was a great question, but he asked us this question. It was off air, and I think it's great. Well, what's the funniest or most embarrassing moment you've had in business?
Funniest or most embarrassing moment in business? See, I don't get embarrassed easy. I think that's the problem. I'm okay with
funniest is okay.
I'm okay with being embarrassed. I did at one point walk in on a couple that did not leave the house when they were supposed to, and was going to show the house, and they had the bedroom locked. I'll just leave it at that.
Really?
So yeah. That's one that has stuck with me. That was about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, what do I do here? Where's the handbook on this one?
Are you telling me that's not in a handbook? How to get through that objection?
Right?
Yeah. It isn't hit.
So I had to step outside, call the listing agent, and say, hey, I think your clients are still here, and I'll give them a few moments to get out of the house.
They know people are coming.
Yeah.
So what is the best way for somebody looking to buy or sell a home, or maybe, looking to get on a team? What would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Sure. Cell phone is the best way, 317-345-0573, or they can shoot me an email at botwithscott@gmail.com.
And to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. And for more Indy's Real Estate Gurus, please follow us.
Yep. And reminder, if you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or refinance, contact Rick or I, and we'll be more than happy to help them.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Rippman's NMLS number 664589. Ian Arnold's NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.